Welcome back everybody, it's DestinysJesus here. In this video I'm going to be recapping what I learned from FNCS week 2. If you guys watched my last video from week 1, you know we didn't actually qualify through opens in that week, but I made some serious improvements in my gameplay and my eye-gelling abilities. In opens we absolutely breezed through 141 points in 8 games, we played really well. In round session 2 we actually got 113 points and qualified top 100 in the top 250 stage. Now in round 3 we had some slight errors and we got 77 points. This still put us in top 150, which is a really good placement overall. I didn't really expect to actually go ahead and get, but we still had some big mistakes that you guys can learn from in terms of our match history, how we were playing our end games, our mid game rotates. That will help you guys perform better in the cash cups coming up for trios, and also next week's FNCS qualifier, which I know you guys will be wanting to perform in. As always, make sure you leave a like on the video and also subscribe if you're new. We're coming up on 80k and I'd really like to hit that soon. Okay, so first game of the semi-finals. This is top 250 teams in Europe, all of the best players, and we're contested off spawn. One really important thing when it comes to off-spawn fighting is understanding loot density. What building in your POI is going to be most desirable to land at, and how can you play around that? In Holy Hedges, the most desirable one to land at is this middle one here. It's normally what we try to aim for, but in this case we realized we were outdropped by 2 other players, so what she did was land all of our people split around this building. We all split here, we actually got an initial knock on these other 2 players, so we had the loot advantage on them. If we were to full send this building like we did in some later games, that could lead to us dying off spawn, which is pretty scuffed. These guys ended up disengaging as a duo after we got the initial knock, and we just chased them for a good while through the forest, and then we were finally able to kill them. Let's go, boys. From here we go back into Holy Hedges and we try to recuperate game. The thing is, whenever you're contested at Holy, you really don't leave that too much loot, and majority of our other spots were actually cut off by other teams that were pushing in, since there's so many people doing these safe drops. Normally in opens you can get away with doing a really smart drop like this where you got a lot of backup spots, but in these finals games where it's all top 250 players, we were contested everywhere pretty much. In our first game we make a really bad miscalculation near the end game. We're pretty shambles loot and all 3 of us get held in the sand by multiple teams. Never early sand rotate, especially if there's people in your way. Always try to see if they will rotate for you. My teammate gets knocked out of sand too far apart and he just instantly gets thirsted, and then from here we get box filled by another team and we die really early this game. Important lesson to be learned here, especially in these stat lobbies, is let other people rotate for you and then try to sand rotate later on. Just a quick Twitch plug for you guys who are watching. Make sure to go follow my Twitch. I've been streaming so much recently. I'm pretty much streaming daily. I've done loads of reviews in terms of viewer VODs if you guys want to improve your game sense, as well as reviews of top teams who have been doing really well in tournaments, as well as streaming all of the FNCS qualifiers that have been happening. In game 2 again, we were contested by another team that's really good at fighting off spawn. First thing we did was establish height and then make sure they couldn't retake it, and then we went for a position in terms of this gas can play. We both shoot in gas cans at the same time, trying to get some damage, and most importantly open up the position as this other team's boxed up on low ground of the house. This play ends up working out perfectly and we get the really shambles nomads.
Why, I'm siren.
Oh, I'm dead. I need help. I'm probably... Frank.
I'm a beast, bro. Oh my god.
As we come into this end game in the second game, it's a really stacked game. We've got 45 moving. Important thing whenever you're in these really stacked games is always trying to utilize your bouncers in the correct way. Never bouncer too early when other people are going to be looking for you, and also make sure to never actually go ahead and bouncer in a bad position. So right here I tarp forward a little bit and extend, and then get a really nice bouncer where my teammates can recycle, and most importantly stay grouped with me.
Perfect bouncer. I'm boxed there waiting for you guys.
Right here, throughout all the lag, we somehow get a refresh kill, which is pretty lucky to be honest. We mainly were just looking to regroup, and then we ended up getting a kill as we were playing together as a duo.
Leave it. Come solo bouncer. Get this kill. Go.
Right here, I make a really important comment in terms of regrouping that you need to be learning if you're in Niger. You see here, I make an effort of finding my teammate that is solo, and then we decide to play as a duo. Really important comms in terms of layer switching and also trying to just get in. Important thing, especially when these stat lobbies, is making sure you overextend into the end of zone so you can actually get all your mats from your teammates. Again, utilising our bouncer here and also trying to get in a position where we can all regroup. I luckily get this kill and actually get the loot from it, and then go down and regroup my teammates, making sure not to rush and actually put myself in a bad position by overextending and just rotating too early.
Get to me, I'm on front.
Now I'm on front side of the zone. I actually want to go ahead and communicate to my teammates and let them get to me. I'm the one furthest forward, so they need to get to me, and that is the priority. Right here, my teammate Fragger actually gets a kill, and he actually gives me all the mats. Important thing whenever you're playing on these scuff positions here is trying to get off low ground and not trying to claim it as a trio. Right here, I get up and get in the position where my teammates can actually heal and go for kills as well with all this edits that we have. Again, the importance here are just making sure that we all try to regroup on the furthest forward one and then continue rotating as a team. It's so important in these end games that you stick together and always maintain line of sight so that none of you get split and die. Right here, I realised this was a scuff position to rotate into, so I decided to actually wait and make us all stay down a layer since there's a whole team holding us. Luckily, the zone pulled towards us for the final zone, and this is where it's really important to make sure you stay together again. In ninth zone, there's so many solos that you can find if you play together as a team. Right here, all three of us peek in the same angle, get an instant kill on somebody who's 200 HP, and then they continue rotating forward. Right here, we get really split since it played uphill. We could have maybe rotated around the right-hand side of the hill, and I ended up dying to Storm. Important thing when it comes to end games is understanding the bonus 4 points that you get from this current format. Right here, my team is top 4, and top 2 and top 3 give you bonus points, and it's so crucial that you make sure you get those placements. He survives, gets top 3, pretty much perfect, and then from here he needs to go for a kill because he has no mats and he's going to die to Storm.
Nice. You finish.
It's a free kill, calm the flops immediately, which is so important, and then he's able to actually go ahead and rotate in. Ended up accidentally dropping his shotgun there, so he gets very scuffed and dies to his next player, but still, top 3 with so many kills is an absolutely insane game in this FNCS format. In game 3 and 4, we downed our spawn, and this mainly came down to some mistakes on our end, and also just the fact that we're not that comfortable at landing holly hedges. Right here, when I'm in a 1v3 situation, we've got a knock body that we can't find, and I'm trying to raise my teammate to give us that 1v3 advantage. Get a timing shot on this guy as he's trying to exploit in and interrupt the res. I don't communicate that I break that wall, which is a major mistake, and it gets my teammate killed. Now here again, we should be both playing together, trying to communicate, both hold our shotguns out. Instead, Axie rushes and he jumps in and gets one pumped by the guy inside the box. This is a pro player that's contesting us. And then here he just gets a really nice timing where he runs out of me on the 200 HP advantage. He immediately dies to a third party that pushes in, which is just really unfortunate. So even if we were to win this fight, we still most likely would have died to the third party, even if it was a 3v3 fight. And that's just the disadvantage of landing a spot that can be easily rotated in, especially when other players get bounced on you. In the future, I'm definitely not landing holly hedges. I'm probably just going to be swapping drop spot to a more safe passage up on the edge of the map. In game 5, we really stacked going into the end game. We've got really good mats, really good heals, and we have bounces to our name, which is so crucial. One thing I really recommend you guys avoiding is trying to use sand rotates. This is such a free rotate for you just to build in. Obviously, you'd have to expend some mats, maybe even use one bouncer, but it is worth it to avoid using sand. There's so many major bugs with sand at the moment. The one that got us killed in this game was the fact that my teammate went into the sand and for some reason he was taking damage and he was fully visible to other players in the game. So as we rotate all three together, sticking together, there's other people in the sand near us. Zalok actually here, you can see his HP is going down while he's in the sand and he pops out on 20 HP. That's just a bug with sand and it shouldn't happen. Now here he jumps out in front of the whole server. This is again bad pre-planning our end. We should have maybe found a better path or just rotated on foot using bouncers and stuff like that. He gets server sprayed, my teammate at the back end jumps out and gets jumped on by a full trio, and I'm left to solo clutch. So in this game 5, I'm left to clutch up and play solo in a 48 moving. Actually got some good placement points here and died to just kind of unfortunate circumstance, but I'll let this whole game play out and you guys can enjoy me trying to solo clutch in this really stacked lobby when I'm below surge.
You want to go down or something?
Oh, I can't edit. So like... What is this lag? It's actually so laggy. That's what I saw.
He's big, he's big. Maybe try and go lower down. I'll let you play.
Come on, man.
Pop quick, maybe. You can. You're getting patient, you're getting. They're getting tagged. There's a whole trio getting tagged. You're below.
I don't even heal.
Nice, good pick. You're above.
Come on, man.
Not many mats. No man.
You're mad. One build. Look for some options.
No box, maybe. Wood. Yeah,
You're
good.
not in. You're just chilling. 7 builds.
Close back.
Just back. Just
Chill there.
Kill that coat. Yeah, just there. Reload your scar. 5 builds. You should probably go to the front.
My mouse just spun out, bro. Did you see that?
Right there, as you can see, I got some placement of the solo, but I ended up dying because my mouse spun out, which is pretty unfortunate. There's just an issue with my Jupiter is super light where it randomly spin outs, either looks straight up or it spins in some random direction, and it got me killed in that game. In game 6 we showed some major issues in terms of Storm Surge. We got fought for Storm Surge a load of times, we ended up getting hit by it a couple of times on this max distance 50-50, and then we got a max distance first moving when we were really shambles with no mats. We were all trying to stick together and stay near each other on this rotate, because that's probably the only way we were going to do well, and then as I rotated forward here, I should have been building a more extended path. I got 300 wood to actually build a path, and I got one pumped by a guy dropping down behind me randomly, and then my teammates ended up dying to Surge and people trying to hold them. Again, as an IGL, your major role should be trying to maximize the points per game. Right there, we were in the game for like 25 minutes, and we only got 1 elim and 1 placement point, mainly because of the Storm Surge issues we had mid-game, as well as some miscalculations on rotates in terms of 50-50 and that max distance first moving. Right here in game 7, we make a big mistake when it comes to layer swapping. As I go up a layer, a team aggroes our walls and actually goes for a box fight on me. I get beamed, another one takes more at the same time, and my teammates end up split at the back of the tarp. If we were all front side together, we would have easily been able to get a refresh there and box one of those players and kill them. Big mistake is just trying to go for those kills on back end what aren't too significant. If you stick front side, the kills that you do get are going to be a lot more impactful and help you a lot more. Zalok ended up dying at the back of the tarp since the whole team cut him off, and then we had to play this out as a duo. As a duo, we didn't play this out too bad. We got some decent placement, mainly because we did some nice stair tarps and then played towards the left-hand low ground of zone. As you can see here, I called for the low ground drop, and we basically rotated together.
I've got 130 match. Come on, me. Free. Yeah, I have no match.
One mistake that we do here in terms of this ender zone is the fact that we rotate right underneath the team. They all drop down on our walls and try to aggro for a refresh since they see we're a duo. I get jumped on, we die 8th place, which is so early considering how dead that game was. We all just stuck towards the front side of that top, stuck together, we'd have a way better end game, we got way more points. In this game, we get completely beamed by a team catching us by surprise on our split chop. They pushed in. Important thing whenever you're playing these fights is to make sure that you expend all your mats trying to go for an initial knock. Make sure that my teammates are full healed up. We make so much extra boxes and space that allow us to counter peek from, and also just play really safely without taking any damage. Right here, because of how patient we're playing this and how much extra room we have, we're actually able to get a knock in the box, and then from there it's a pretty simple fight.
70.
Dead.
Nice.
Go.
I'm going up.
Chill.
Run. 1-3. Dead.
20 white.
Let's vanish. This is free. I told you. Oh, let's go, man.
In this end game of the 8th game, we actually made some really good plays in terms of recycling our tarp. It's always very important to be aware of where your tarp is and if you can recycle it for the moving zone if it doubles back. Right here we go way forward on the front side of low ground on second moving, go for some shots for the hold, and then we realise it doubles back, so we're just going to try to recycle and play through our tarp. You can see here, even though we're completely shambles and we're not even near the 9th zone, the fact that we're able to get in our old tarp and actually re-establish together means that we're able to go some impact kills in terms of refreshes. Right here I make a really important con, which is just trying to establish our heal off, which isn't too good, and also the fact that we all need to play together to go for these refreshes. You play together like this in endgame, you'll definitely get a kill if you all stick together.
I've got no match. On me? I'm done. They're fighting.
Get. On me. White. Dead.
Right there, Zalok, our fragger, actually got a refresh, so he was pretty good. And we went ahead and got top 4 this game, just because he got that one refresh from all 3 of us jumping in that box together. That's such a good game when we got so many kills there, and that kind of bumped us way up the ratings in terms of the overall standings. Right here in this last game, we have a really bad play in terms of a 50-50 rotate that cost us our entire tournament and some really useful series points. We're not in a position to qualify, we need like 115 to qual, so we just need to make sure we have a good end game. We've got everything we need to do that right here. The dead side of 50-50 is basically just this back portion of zone. It will allow you to get into a position where nobody else is. Instead, what I call is the fact that we should rotate straight into it. All this congestion, all of these builds are, and that means that there's going to be so many people that have angles. I went back and checked the replay after we got sprayed, and there was like 15 individual players all staring at us. If we rotate into that dead side where the zone expands, then we would have been in a really good position to actually just play endgame as a team and just go for our first moving rotate. As you can see, we rotate here. There's so much congestion on this edge zone. Everybody has angles and edits and everybody's staring at us, and that just results in us getting completely server spammed and dying in a really unfortunate way.
No, in the back. Get back.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm dead. Like, yeah, like, what the... Zalok, you in?
So right there, 2 of us died, and it's just Zalok left to clutch up solo. And if you see, this back portion of the zone where it's expanded to would have been completely free to rotate in. We could have just easily gone over the build and then established there without that many people looking at us. It's just a one small mistake that you can easily learn from whenever you're doing these late rotates. And especially with how the position of the rivers are, it would be really crucial to do that in future tournament games in an end game like this. Zalok as a solo was able to clutch up some final placement points, just some really good harpoon plays, trying to make sure that he survived for as much placement as possible since he just started getting it. He gets top 17 and he's able to just survive and storm for an extra second, even though Storm Surge is hitting him and it's insanely laggy. He gets top 14, which results us on 77 points, which actually gives us some good series points because that bumps us up into the top 150 margin. So next week I think we need like a top 100 or something, and we should be good to qualify heats hopefully.